everyone can hear me well. I'm not seeing I have where I have any volume on my microphone, but hey, we will figure it out, and I know you will let me know just in case I need to switch to another mic. Dab Sweeney made an interesting comment over the past few days. And that interesting comment, well, is quite interesting. I'll get to that in just a second. If you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button. You know the drill, turn on notifications and so on. So Dabo made an interesting comment over the past day or so when he was interviewed. Now, before I dive into his comment, I want to say this. I feel like I have to give a preface of my feelings towards Coach Sweeney. And I feel like I need to have one of those moments where it stops and there's a black screen that rolls with all his accomplishment at the end. It's almost like a memorandum, and I say thank you at the end. By the way, I know there's some people in here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Please let me know. Because right now it's not. I'm not showing a level on my microphone. So y'all, please forgive me if I look like some cheesy. You can hear me, Eric. Thank you so much. Can you hear me well? Everybody watching this video later on, thank you for your patience. Yep. Okay. Eric says he can hear me great. I'm going forward. So I feel like I need to, and thank you, Eric, roll down all the accomplishments of Dabo and at the very end say thank you before I say anything about him, because we know that, especially it's every fan base, but in the Clemson community, you cannot critique Coach Sweeney whatsoever. Now, if I was Dabo's wife or his sons or his family, his friends, his brother, and I see me on here in my bonus room talking about this, of course it would irritate you. Of course, you would probably look and say something along the lines of, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's no big deal. Just go away. Be irritated with me, but just go away. I can actually understand that, and I don't blame them. But for the Clemson fans that are out there, who it's almost like you worship Sweeney. Like when I celebrate Easter, I celebrate Jesus dying on the cross and raising from the grave to redeem me of my sins. Okay? For some of you, that's actually Sweeney for you. Like you can't say anything, you can't critique anything about Sweeney, because if you do, you're not a good cult member. I mean, good fan. And it has to stop. Now, I have been critical of Coach Sweeney over the past, I don't know, few years. But Sweeney is the best thing that ever happened to Clemson. I like Coach Sweeney, and I appreciate what he's done. But here's a comment. And I'm going to read this. I'm just going to read this fast. So this is via Clemson Insider. A few others has reported on this, but via Clemson Insider, it was said that Coach Sweeney said, while some people who aren't a part of his program have questioned if from the outside looking in, Sweeney feels it's never been better. Quote, Sweeney, people, they need stories, and it's a story if Clemson went to 6 playoffs in a row and then didn't make it. What's wrong with them? There's nothing wrong with Clemson. There's nothing wrong with our program. In fact, I would argue, honestly, our program has never been better. End of quote. He goes on to talk about the roster. He goes on to talk about these things. All right, I can think of 2 particular seasons within, I don't know, the past 7 years that the program was better. And namely, those years was 2016, 2018. And there was a reason why those seasons were much better than right now. It's because they hoisted a national championship trophy above their head. It wasn't because, I don't know, they had a terrible offense with incredible talent left and right. and they blew a 14-point lead against their rival who, yes, they won by 1 point. Now, for them, it was the butt whipping of a century. 1 point now is now butt whipping for South Carolina. It wasn't like Clemson went in and played a Tennessee team who was missing their 2 biggest stars and got their tail absolutely whipped. My point in saying this is I understand what he is doing here, and quite honestly, I feel like Clemson is better now than what it was, say, at the beginning of the year, even before the loss to Tennessee, because he made the proper move. I'm going to be transparent with you. I wasn't so for sure that Clemson was going, namely, Coach Sweeney was going to make the right decision when it comes to Brandon Streeter. I was not sold on that. I did not believe that he was going to pull the trigger that fast on a guy he had just made the offensive coordinator a year earlier. And he did. And I'm glad he did. And I'm glad he went and got who he got. Now, I do have my questions about Garrett Riley. How's Garrett Riley going to do when he plays an elite defense with an elite defensive coordinator who can scheme? That's a big deal, folks. That's a big deal. And I've talked about that in the past. I'm not going to dive into all of that. I do agree that Clemson football is better right now than what it was just at the beginning of the year because of the addition of Garrett Riley. But I am telling you, and I'm not word policing here. I'm just saying I quoted the $11 million a year dollar man who has done more for Clemson sports than anyone. I'm talking sports. I know everybody out there with women's sports is going to get mad and demand an equivalent. There's no equivalent at Clemson for women's sports, even if I'm going to say off that issue. Dabo Sweeney has done more for Clemson sports than anyone, period. With that said, Coach Sweeney, please stop saying stuff like this. There's politicians that I like that I wish they wouldn't say certain things because it's unnecessary. There are family members I have that I wish would stop saying certain things because it's unnecessary. And to say, I'm going to quote him again. I'm going to quote him again. This is funny to me. People, they need stories, and it's a story of Clemson went to 6 playoffs in a row and then didn't make it. Okay. What he did there, he's reminding everyone, I did take you to 6 consecutive playoffs, which is amazing. I got you 2 national championships out of that, which was amazing. We love that. We appreciate that. He is 100% correct that our media, whether it is sports, whether it's politics, they are absolutely, I'm going to try to use a nicer word here. They are story harlots. I mean, if they can turn a story, unless it's something that they don't like that fits their political agenda, they won't report on that. But if they get a hold of something that really, really like strums the right chord for them, and it's going to resonate with whatever, they will jump on top of it. Now, you could say to me, Brian, aren't you kind of doing the same thing? Yes and no. By the way, what's up, Parker Henderson? Parker Henderson in here, one member of the infamous Henderson sisters. I like to call them Henderson sisters. Your other half, he's probably off working or something. How silly. Yes, folks, that's a Notre Dame cup I'm drinking out of. No, but the thing with Sweeney that I'm looking at, and it doesn't make sense here. You could say, hey, Clemson, how awesome would it have been had Sweeney sat down and said, you know what? Even though I have been blessed to have success, I've been blessed to have success. I've been blessed to have the players that I've had, to have the run that I've had. I'm still learning as a coach. I'm still growing as a coach. Think about that. Wouldn't that be much better than coming out there and saying, well, everybody needs a story, man. And, Clemson went 6 consecutive playoffs. Let me tell you this. Once again, I'm going to lay the ground level work for all of this. If a team does not have the talent to go to the national championship or the playoff, hands up. It is what it is. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken crap, okay? But when you have the talent on the field, and I know everybody's going to be talking about DJ, we didn't have the talent with DJ, blah, 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 blah. I will have to say Clemson shouldn't have recruited him. He was not for the style of Clemson football. I think he's going to do fantastic Oregon State, and I wish him the very best. But you recruit for your scheme. You don't go out and recruit someone who doesn't fit your scheme. And if you are going to recruit that person, you change your scheme. That's the only way it's going to work. See, and you say, well, no, you make them fit the winning scheme. That's what we did. Did you see what's happened over the past 2 years? That is what happens when you recruit someone to fit your scheme who doesn't fit your scheme and you don't change it. I mean, history proves me right, folks. I mean, there's 5-year-old kids who could figure this out. But the proof is in the pudding here, as people like to say. It would have been much better had he come out there and said, you know what, I'm still learn every day. But I think Clemson football has an extremely bright future. We have the players to come in and contend for a national championship this year, and win the thing. Even if in his head he doesn't even believe that they have the ability to win the thing. I can understand that. But coming back to this whole thing as though people were wrong. Well, especially this last season, no, people were not wrong. This people was not wrong. I said that the incestuous coaching hiring that's going on at Clemson is going to come to a head. Well, Streeter is a former Clemson quarterback. He's been at Clemson for a long time. I wish him the best. He was not the right man for the job, at least not right now in his career. That proved itself to be true. There's other coaches on the coaching staff or position coaches right now. There is a great chance that those people are not going to be there a year from now. And let me tell you this, Garrett Riley is probably, and I had lunch with a friend yesterday. He's a Clemson grad. He's a big Clemson football fan. And he was telling me, he said, I can promise you Garrett Riley's probably walking in, looking at them going, hey, listen, I've got really good plays and I'm trying to be powerful and explosive. You're going to have to get your unit together, else we're going to have to look at who is running your unit, which means we're going to have to replace you. And you can't run to Dabo to save you because he's Coach Sweeney to you. Bobby Arrington in here says, hi from Dothan, Alabama. Hey, Bobby. It's good to see you. But, folks, I feel much better about Clemson football right now than what I did 3 months ago. I really do. I feel way better about it than I did 3 months ago. Now, does that mean that we're a front runner for the national championship? No. Once again, just going to recap this. I want to see Garrett Riley calling plays against an elite defense with an elite defensive mind calling the plays, who's scheming for him. Now, if he overcomes that, he's really the man. He's really the man. I don't expect Clemson to win a national championship this year. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. My little orange heart hopes so, but most likely it's not going to happen. Okay. But coming out there and blowing it like we've seen them blowing it, going up to Notre Dame and playing a Notre Dame team that I have seen blow it to team after team, especially earlier in the season, and then come out there and just absolutely run Clemson into the ground. Clemson was ran into the ground by Notre Dame, and they ran into the ground by Tennessee. And it was not the defense's fault. No, sirree. It was not their fault. If anything, can you imagine what would happen if we didn't have elite players like Trenton Simpson out there on the field and KJ Henry? Can you imagine Miles Murphy and Brian Brzee not out there? Folks, I'm telling you, that would have been a slaughter of slaughters. It was defense. By the way, 16 people in here. We've got 6 thumbs up. If you like it, hit the thumbs up. It's free. Comment below. By the way, yes, I am drinking. I'm a Notre Dame mug. Anybody who's watched me before, I mean, say I have no ties to Notre Dame. I just like them. Yes, they're overrated. Yes, blah, 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 blah. So when Notre Dame played Clemson, I knew about Notre Dame. I knew about because I watch Notre Dame. I keep up with Notre Dame. And I did not expect what happened to Clemson that night. Of course, I was pulling for Clemson over Notre Dame. Notre Dame's like my second team. Clemson's my first team. I did not expect that. That was probably the best performance of Notre Dame's season. Hands down. That was it. And probably the next game was a loss where they lost to Ohio State at Columbus. That would be their next best performance. But I'm telling you, the comment that he said was not scandalous. It wasn't awful. It wasn't ridiculous. I understand. I know some of you out there, you feel like you've got to explain it to the village idiot here, like he doesn't understand what Sweeney's doing. It's like you're his PR person. Sweeney could have said anything other than that. And that's fine that he said it. He has 11 million reasons per year. 11 million reasons per year of why he doesn't care what you and I think. And I get it. Don't blame him. To a point. But to any coach out there, no matter whether you're coaching football or maybe you're coaching, I don't know, badminton, when you have the talent to win and the barrier to you winning is poor coaching within your coaching hierarchy, people aren't going to like it. Especially when they find out those people are being paid a lot of money to do bad. Like if I do bad, I'm fired from my job. If I do bad on my job, I'm done. I'm on a break right now. I work from home. And no, I'm not in insurance. I'm in software. People's asked me that before. I'm in the software industry. And most of my clients are in Europe, so my day's pretty much done. Though I will work. But if I don't deliver, guess what they do? They fire me. Brian, your numbers aren't where they need to be. We don't know what you're doing. You give world-class excuses, Brian, but we're not going to keep you. And I don't make I'm thankful for the job I have. I have a good job. I don't make near the money these offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, even position coaches are earning. And they dare us common folk to question them when you and I are working. And I beat this drum a lot, but it brings it into perspective. Most all of us are working very hard for not near as much as they're making. And they can't believe that anybody would question them on a game that they're being paid tons of money on. I mean, they need to come back to reality. I mean, please come back to reality. In fact, because of that, I have lost a lot of the zeal that I've had for sports because I'm sitting here watching people who is playing a game who gets preferential treatment everywhere they turn, make money hand over fist, just everywhere they turn. And then they don't understand why the public's sitting there going, dude, if I performed like you did at my job, I'd be fired. And I wouldn't get a contract that after I walk away that they pay me ungodly amounts of money. It's nonsensical. I mean, literally, it doesn't make sense. But I beat that drum, and I'm going to try to back away from it. I would just like to see coaches, namely Coach Sweeney, stay away from this. Stay away from. He can say whatever he wants to, folks. Once again, he's in control of Clemson football. He makes a lot of money. He's done more for Clemson football. I appreciate him. But once again, I'm not a cult member. Okay. I am not going to. I'm not worshiping the guy. He's still a human being. And I would like to see him get away from talking about the 6 consecutive playoffs. And I would like to hear him admit that he's having to grow as a coach and he's having to learn that he just can't hire former players to coach. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. I'm more understanding if you say, you know what, man, I'm growing here. And I know I've had some success, but I've made some decisions I'm having to learn. I can't go that route anymore. Let me tell you right now, I'm a decently logical human being. I would back up and you know what I would say? I'd go, you know what? That makes sense to me. That is logical. He's learned. He tried something. There was an experiment there. He's saying it didn't work out. That's not what he's saying. And that bothers me. That bothers me. Once again, I'm going to read this again. Once again, this is no big deal. It's just sports. Sweeney, I'm not taking aim at him as a person or as a husband or a father or anything. I'm just saying this doesn't make sense, folks. And at the end of the day, he wouldn't know me from Adam. People, they need these stories. It's a story if Clemson went to 6 playoffs in a row and then didn't make it. What's wrong with them? There's nothing wrong with Clemson. There's nothing wrong with our program. In fact, I would argue, honestly, our program has never been better. 2016, Deshaun Watson led. I'm talking about athleticism here, not talking about anything else. Deshaun Watson led 2016 football team. And Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Justin Ross, T. Higgins, Christian Wilkins, Cleveland Furl. Did y'all hear that? That's never been better. And I know one of those players would come out today and say, I agree with Coach. Coach is right. It's never been better. I'm not talking about yes men here, folks. I'm just talking about the truth. You know, sometimes when you're in a family, you have to lie. You have to lie to cover up. You have to lie to be part of the family, or you are so infiltrated in the belief in it, you just absolutely lie. It's not better, folks. Now, if Clemson comes out, wins a national championship this year, you could say it's as good as 2016, 2018. And that would be great. But the overcompensate, it's the overcompensation. I'm at the 23-minute mark, and this is the part that I really want to say. It's the overcompensating part that bothers me. You have good recruits. You have one of the hottest commodities in offensive coaching right now. You don't have to overcompensate unless there's a reason to overcompensate. And that, in my role that I work in, when I hear someone start to overcompensate, red flags start going up everywhere. It's like little mini alerts start going up, going beep, 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 beep. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? That doesn't make sense. If everything's hunky-dory, why are we overcompensating? But that's just one thing. He made the right decision to hire Garrett Riley. And that's awesome. Sweeney should be given the grace and the mercy to be able to make mistakes and admit it and correct it. He corrected the offensive coordinator, Dale. I think he's probably going to have to correct a few more offensive coaches. They're probably not going to be there next year. Or Garrett Riley's going to threaten to kill every one of them until they get it in the ones who needs to be threatened. He's going to have to threaten them to make them not mess up his game plan. That's a plus. But the overcompensating, that's just something for me that I step back and I say, man, please stop doing that and just stick to Clemson. Clemson has a bright future. We have Garrett Riley. We're doing great. We have Cade. We're looking forward to seeing Cade and Shipley and Moffa on the same field. Jake Brenning still. We got Antonio Williams. We have Bo Collins coming back. We got some new blood on the offensive line. And I know we lost so-and-so on the offense. I don't care. The offensive line looked like trash last year. I don't care if they had 17,000 starts among them. They looked terrible. Furman University's defensive line absolutely wreaked havoc on Clemson's offensive line in Death Valley. For those of you who don't know, Furman University is a little FCS school about 45 minutes up the road from Clemson. Shouldn't even play in the same league with them. And their defensive line wreaked havoc on Clemson's offensive line. So I don't want to hear about who we lost and this, that, and the other. It was bad. Those are the talking points. We don't need to take up for the past 2 years has been a major letdown when Clemson still has the talent and the schedule that they do. Those are the points you want to go to. That's where I'm saying we need to point our attention to. We have the new offensive coordinator. We have Cade. We have an entire offseason. We have Shipley. We have Maffa. We have Collins. We have Brenningstool. We have Antonio Williams. We'll see what happens with Adam Randall. We'll see what happens with the other wide receivers. But, folks, I am telling you right now, that was not what was talked about. It was more of that defensiveness. Might be time to lay that down, and let's just focus on what is going well for Clemson. Once again, have a lot more optimism than I did 3 months ago when we hadn't made an offensive coordinator change. Okay? You just came off of a fresh butt whipping in the Orange Bowl against a Tennessee team, missing 2 of their stars. You're only weeks removed from losing by one point to your rival after you were up by 14 points, and you blew it. And you were only a few weeks removed at that time, maybe 3, of going up to South Bend and getting your tail handed to you by a Notre Dame team who they were an average team this year. They were not great, and they ripped you apart. Things are definitely brighter, and that's what we should focus on. So that's my feelings, my thoughts. Tell me in the comment section what you think, how you feel. As long as it's about Clemson football, I mean, if you got marriage problems, you want me to help, I really can't do anything there. But anyway, I appreciate you joining me. Subscribe, thumbs up. You know the drill. Hope to catch you next time. Either way, go Tigers. Catch you.